Hi, today we're talking about 10 things that I really wish I knew before I started working in a restaurant. Okay, so I actually wrote some stuff down for this. So if I look at my phone, you know why. All right, so these are the top 10 things that I really wish I had known or somebody had told me. Not that it's anybody else's responsibility, but things that now that I've done it, I would tell anybody who's thinking about it. So number one is how to spell restaurant, which I wrote down in my little notes as a goof. Like I was like, this will be a funny opener. And then I spelled it wrong. Here's how you spell restaurant. It's rest, our, with an A-U-R, ant. Restaurant. If I spelled that wrong right now, I'm gonna die. I would die. I would be dead. That one's kind of a goof, but I also didn't know how, and I know a lot of people don't know how, so there you go. Anyway, let's keep going. I want to start with letting you guys know that you are not responsible for somebody walking out on you, walking out on your tab. It's also called a dine and dash. So basically when somebody is at your table and they didn't pay for their food. It really sucks. It's terrible. I think it's like a really, really mean thing to do because some restaurants do force the server who was waiting on you to pay for it. I had to pay at Saddle Ranch, and I literally quit like 3 days later because I was like, that's such a gross requirement. I have personally worked at places that made you pay for a tab that was walked out on. And I've also worked for places that were, the management was just like, oh my God, that sucks. I'm really sorry. And all you're missing out then is your tip, which still sucks, but you're not paying for somebody else's food that they wrongfully walked out on. I don't know if there are laws behind it. I tried to look it up and I was just like, what? So yeah, I don't know if that's like legally required. I don't know, but the fact that I've worked at both types of restaurants in California makes me think that like, that's not my responsibility. If that's something you personally disagree with, I would definitely ask right up front, like in an interview, hey, if somebody were to walk out, what's the protocol for that? Because then you can know going in if the place sucks or not. The second thing I think you should know before working in a restaurant is it's not as easy as everybody says it is to get your shift covered. Especially being in Los Angeles, like a lot of people are like, oh, like I just wait tables and then if I get an audition, I just switch my shift. I never had that easy of a time switching a shift. A lot of restaurants who use like hot schedules and stuff, it's just like any other job, bud. It's just like you're on hot schedules and you're like, cool, can I have a day off in 3 weeks? Cool, can I switch my shift? It has to get approved, it has to go through this, it has to go through this. And so like, it's not that easy. You're still having to like ask people to cover your shift and stuff. Like, it's not like you can just call out last minute. I won't be in today. Like, you're still gonna get in trouble. It's so not like what I thought it would be. The third thing you need to know is you're going to forget stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen the brilliant TikToks and Instagram things that people have done. You know, somebody was a server 10 years ago and they wake up in a cold sweat being like, oh, I forgot table 13's ranch. It's human, it's natural. Don't beat yourself up because you forgot to bring somebody an extra plastic fork, you know? Also, are we loving my new little background? I felt very YouTuber and I was so excited about it. Okay, number 4. Oh, this is such a big one for me. I will go on about this for 100 years. The fourth thing you need to know is do not start working in restaurants if you don't like people. Don't go into the service industry hating serving people. There's nothing wrong with not liking it. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people like mushrooms, some people don't. But in particular, if you want to be a server, like what you're doing. It's my biggest freaking pet peeve when people are like, I hate people, I hate this. And like, let's be abundantly clear. Of course you're gonna have bad days. Of course you're gonna have days where you don't wanna be at work. Of course you're gonna have customers who make you not like people for that moment. But you're serving, you're waiting, you're doing things for people because you should like to do it. And of course, I understand that like it's a job. It's not like, you know, you're waking up doing this every day, not getting paid. Like, of course. And if you are serving because you have to serve and you're paying your bills, like you do it the way you want to do it. Obviously, that's your life. I'm just saying if you are actively seeking out being a server, I would highly advise that you make sure that you like that. You know what I mean? Number 5 might be contentious. I don't know. There are probably a lot of people who don't agree with this. However, in my personal experience, from what I've seen in the jobs that I've held, most people are very nice. Most people appreciate you being there and helping them out. So if you're nervous about if people are gonna be mean or hurtful or aggressive or anything like that, it's going to happen, obviously. But I would say in, what is it, 17, 18, in 8 years of food service, I could probably count my like really horrible customers on 2 hands. Of course, I had people call me a and people call me a and people call me an and like, of course, it happens, but it happens very rarely and not often enough for it to have turned me off. Sometimes people can have one bad experience and be like, no thanks, that's fine. The pie chart of nice/apathetic versus awful to be around is like 90-10, you know? If you're nervous about people, don't be, for the most part. This is a huge one. Okay, so a lot of places, I don't know which states, I don't know what the law is, whatever. In my experience, some restaurants do pay a server wage because they're expecting you to make a living wage based off of tips. I do not think that that's right. I think that that's a really, really tricky way to like have people live and work and like have to be petrified if they don't make enough tips that month. Like that's a very separate story. And I don't have the proper vocabulary or knowledge to like dive into that. I just personally, at a surface level, don't think that that's very cool. That being aside, you should be making, even if it is a server's wage, which is usually like $2.25 an hour or something, and then you get your tips on top of that, you should always be making some sort of hourly wage. I worked at a place once where I was so stupid and naive, and I guess a lot of us were, where there was no hourly wage. The owner somehow explained it to me in a way that I was like, yeah, okay, for sure. Where they were like, so you keep all of your tips, and then your hourly wage is taxed off of your tips. So you're not technically making an hourly wage. And I was like, what's up? And they were like, yeah, so anyway, your paychecks will probably be like $0.08 or $0.00 or like $1.20. So it was very weird. I didn't understand it. I was too young to worry or fight back or whatever. So you should be making something. So if a boss tries to like serpentine their way around that, no go. Big red flag, big scary, don't listen, get out of there. Okay, this one is a personal one for me, and I think this is no tea, no shade to restaurant owners, to managers, to whoever is deciding it. Something that I have never in my life been comfortable with is pooling tips. So if you are in an interview, the person who's interviewing you says, you know, we do pool tips here. What that means, if you don't know, let's say me and Kimberly and John are all working a shift. In my 6-hour shift, I made $200 in tips. In Kim's 6-hour shift, she made $100 in tips. And in John's 6-hour shift, he made $50 in tips. So that means, what is that altogether? No idea. That means that $350 is now being divided 3 ways. Instead of me getting my $200, Kim getting her $100, and John getting his $50. I've had this explained to me by restaurant owners and managers that like it's more of a cumulative experience and people feel more community and they feel less pressure and less stress. And I do understand that. I'm not saying that pooling tips is a red flag for everybody. I just personally believe that like keeping your own tips is the way to go. Sometimes that doesn't work for people, and I absolutely get why a lot of restaurants like it. I just like to like do my own and then tip out really, really nicely. Oh, here's another one. Kind of maybe a life tip. If you do forget somebody's food or get their order wrong or don't bring them their ranch or whatever the case may be, if there's an incident, just be genuine when you're apologizing. I think I would say that for the most part, again, most people are pretty nice. If you're genuine with your apology and you're like, I totally messed up, I wrote your order down wrong, that was my fault. Let me go change that for you and I'll see what I can do, whatever. Maybe the manager will give them a free drink. Maybe the manager will take it off the boat, who knows. But I do think that it's just so important to be genuine with the way that you're making up for a mistake. Most people just wanna hear, you're totally, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you're right. Mean it. Okay. Now, piggybacking off of that, another important thing, it's okay to like fib a little bit. If you forgot to put in their coffee order, sometimes you gotta be like, oh my gosh, we just brewed a new pot and I just didn't want you to have old coffee, so let me go get that for you right now. And I hope you guys understand, I'm not trying to be deceitful. It just can sometimes make you and the customer feel a little better. To be like, oh my gosh, I know, your beer's coming right now. It was at the bottom of the keg and it was like too foamy, so I wanted to make sure that you had a new beer. That's not hurting anybody. You know what I mean. You see the difference. I don't know what number one. It's right there. So encourage everything, but also be honest and be discerning. So if somebody says, oh, do you like the vodka sauce pizza? Like asking you as the server, and you don't like it, but let's say a lot of people do order it, you can be like, you know, it's actually not my favorite, but it's probably one of our most popular items. If somebody says, what's your favorite thing on the menu? For sure, tell them. I'll use my waffle place as an example. Like I would always suggest like, oh my gosh, not only is the Mediterranean omelet the most popular order, it's also my favorite, but what I like to do is instead of feta cheese, I get mozzarella. And like, I just think it's so good. But here's the trick. You gotta be discerning. So if somebody says, oh, are the onion rings good here? And they're not good, you can be like, they're not my favorite, they're not super popular on the menu. I would suggest probably like the potato skins or the nachos or whatever. I've so clearly worked in gross places. Just make sure that you're honest because that like builds your credibility. Oh my God, ugh. Here's another one I didn't even think of. I worked at a restaurant, I won't name it, where they did not let us try the fucking food that they had. It was the strangest thing I had ever experienced. In my whole 8-9 years, whatever it was, of working with food, there had never been a single place that wasn't like Coffee Bean was like, oh, we're getting new summer drinks, you guys all are trying them. It's not even like a nice thing. Well, it's nice, but it's not even meant to be nice. It's meant to be like, try the thing so that you can then explain it to people. You're supposed to try pretty much everything that they have. And I worked at a restaurant where there was one tasting day before the restaurant even opened. The menu was A, not finished. B, the tasting day was like a Tuesday at 10 a.m. or something. It was like 10 to 11 a.m. And like so many people could not go to it. And they were like, okay, well. And we were like, can we get another one? Like 80% of the people didn't get to try any of the food that we're offering. And then like, oh God, I could talk about this for 100 years. It blew my mind. I've never been at a restaurant where if a server needed to run in the back, take a sip of water, have something to eat. Oh, because a lot of restaurants I've worked in don't let you take breaks, which is another thing. Should I do another part of this? Let me know if you want to see more about this kind of stuff because I have some experiences, mama. So I've never been in a restaurant that didn't have like some snacks. Like at my breakfast place, they always had a thing of potatoes going, like of home fries, which were so fucking good. And if you got them well done, anyway, you go in the back for 3 minutes, take a sip of water, have some potatoes, go back, live your life, work your tables. But at this restaurant, we weren't even allowed to have like a slice of marinated cucumber. That was wild to me. What was I even talking about? Ugh, that was so annoying. I was really excited about that job too, but it was like a restaurant that was opening. Ugh. If you don't have 18 years to like work at a place, don't work at a restaurant that's not open yet. Oh, here's my last one. And I want to be super clear on this. If when you start working there, they say to you, oh my gosh, it's not even work. It's like a family. No, it isn't. No, it's not. Unless it's your family, it's not a family. Unless it's like a business that you started with your best friends from middle school, it's not going to be like a family. This is a business, and they use that term like a family to take advantage of you. And if I sound condescending, I don't mean to, and I'm sorry, but I have been fucked with this term so many times. It doesn't even feel like work. It's like a family here. I'm sure it doesn't feel like work to you, bud. You own the restaurant and there's a 2-hour line outside. And then when I ask for a day off, you make me feel bad because you have something to do. No, that's not my responsibility. They use the term like a family to take advantage of you. And I am certain that there are restaurants in this world. I have a friend who owns a restaurant, and I cannot imagine that she treats her employees with anything but love and respect and joy, and like, I'm sure it feels like a family there. So I'm certain that there are outliers, but I would say for the most part, if it's not your family, it's not a family. And I don't mean to get so frustrated about this, but it's just, I can't tell. And again, I'm like a little like people pleasing, hard to confront, like can't even say the word. I have a hard time with confrontation, and I have a hard time with saying no, and I have a hard time with boundaries. I really fell into the whole of it's like a family. It's like a family means you can't ask for days off, you can't ask for proper pay, you can't ask for help. Like, that's, in my experience personally, that is what it means. I have a lot of friends who have told me they feel the same way. I just want you guys to be cognizant that if that's what they're saying, be aware. Oh, wow, dude, that's wild. I did not know I would feel so much in this video. Let me know if this was too much for you, and I'm sorry if it was. Let me know if you liked it. I would love to do more videos like this. I do want to just end this video by saying I love that industry so much. Nothing's ever made me feel as good as doing this and talking to you and having you guys like watch and support and care about what I'm doing. So obviously that's like the dream and the goal. But everything I did getting here, I loved so much. I love food. I love the service industry. The service industry itself is kind of like a family. Like when you meet another server, another bartender or whatever, it's sort of like, so yeah, so this is not to disparage the restaurant industry at all. This is just to let you know a little bit of what you might be getting into. I wish you nothing but the absolute best experiences. I had some of the best experiences of my life in the service industry, and I do really miss it and really love it. And I just think it's the best. There are just, as with anything, a couple things you gotta look out for. So let me know if you would like to see more of stuff like this, or if you don't want to see more stuff like this. And I will see you guys on Friday. Oh yeah, I upload every Friday and Sunday. I got sick in the middle of my sentence. I upload every Friday and Sunday, and I have a Patreon right here where I upload even more than that. So I'm just cranking it out. So if you're not tired of my voice yet, check it out. I love you. Bye.